And here I am. Hi. Oh my gosh. We're back again together. It's Saturday, our favorite day to hang out and be together. Janet. What's good? Holla at me in the comments. Let me know you here. Let me know you showed up. Let me know what's going on. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited about today's topic, as I'm excited about most every week's topic. um, Today, we're going to be talking about flexibility and what it means to be flexible in your travels and flexible as an entrepreneur. So, lots of stuff has been happening. And while a lot of it is situational because of the pandemonium, the Panda Express, the Panini, um, some of it is just good practice in life for you to have as a human. You can't ever really plan for everything. You can't prepare for everything that's going to happen. And so a lot of the changes that we've been going through as travelers have, I don't know, maybe like uh fortified us, fortified our mentality, fortified our mindset, fortified the things that we want in our hearts. I think it's worked that way as well. Sassy Diva, hey girl. She says hello. Good morning. Good morning. So, I'm going to start off with a little story about a little black girl from Southern Illinois who's been traveling and decided to go to Malaysia. And what happened to that little black girl? The little black girl is me, by the way. So, I was hanging out in Malaysia. I was living my best life, I was getting my Malaysian food on. And during 2020, Malaysia had been super kind. They were like, we know you can't leave. I had a flight booked to Singapore before everything went down. And so I was just there. All the flights out of the country had temporarily been suspended, except for maybe to your home country, I think. So up to that point, Malaysia has said, hey, girl, hang out. We don't care. We know your visitor visa may be expired. We don't care. Just chill. And they were like, we're going to give you maybe about 2 weeks before you have to leave the country. We're going to let everybody stay until the movement control order, that's what they were calling the stay-at-home order, the movement control order ends. When the movement control order ends, then you'll have those 2 weeks to get your life together, get up out of here, do whatever it is you're going to do. So I was chilling, I'm eating my Malaysian food. I'm relaxing and maxing and all that good stuff. And then some time goes by. So, that happened March 2020. And then April of 2021, I'm scrolling on Facebook and I see something that caught my eye. I don't even remember what it was for real. So, whatever it was caught my eye. I checked it out. It turns out that the government had sent out a notice. So, I'm scrolling on Facebook on a Friday. They had sent this notice out on a Monday that everybody needed to leave by next Wednesday. So, even with the amount of time, like if I had found out on Monday, I still would have had to have leave within 9 days. They gave you 9 days to get out of the country without penalty, right? Flexibility. So I'm like, 9 days. Them tickets is looking mighty high. No, I'm not leaving in 9 days. So there's all this information going around, right? Some of it is not correct. Some of it doesn't apply to your area, even because you know how immigration officers are. So I was like, I'm maybe going to go down to Kuala Lumpur, which is hours from where I was from. I was living in Penang at the time. And I was like, I'm going to go to KL and I'm going to go to the immigration office and see if they'll give me some more time, like a little 30-day extension or whatever. And they usually charge for those. That's fine. I just need a little more time to figure out where I'm going to go because I'm not going home. I'm not going to the United States of America. For what? So I booked an appointment at the KL office. I was like, I'll just have to, get down there, get in. The information that I got was there's a local office in Penang, but they wasn't messing with nobody. There's this group and it was horrible. It was like stranded tourists in Malaysia or something like that. So the energy was already off. Like I already wasn't feeling. But I joined it and of course there was just like all this franticness happening. People are like, oh, they're gonna change their mind. They're gonna extend. They're gonna not do this or that. No, they meant it. They meant when they said get out, they absolutely meant get out. And the reason, by the way, that they gave behind it was that some tourists were engaging in sex work and gambling or something like that. And it was like, girl, you just want us gone. I have no idea why, but you just want us gone. Like, just say that, right? I want to say, hey, hi, Janet, Michelle up in this house. Good morning, y'all. Rashida, hey, Rashida. Stacy Ann is the boo. Good morning, Wanda and everyone. So nice. Tynesha's the boo as well. Hi, hi. So I was in this group and then finally someone said, I went to the Penang office. I was able to get an extension. I didn't need an appointment. I just rolled through. And I was like, bet that's what I'm gonna try. So I go to the Penang office and so the office was closed over the weekend. So it must have been on Monday. And I think my appointment was for way later, like maybe a week or two, even after we were supposed to be gone or whatever. And it's like, well, what are the penalties going to be? Because then you're for real overstaying, blah, blah, blah. So I go to the Penang office, no appointment. It's a huge line, a giant line. I see another Black woman. I'm trying to make the eye contact. Hello, hello. She's not with it. She's over doing what she got to do. So at one point, some officers come out, they peek around and they see what the line is looking like. And they like, anybody who don't got an appointment, you got to go. So they was really trying to kick everybody up out of there. So, we have phones. So some of us are like trying to book an appointment to see what appointments are there. Can't get to it. And it just happens that I got information that there's a little photocopy place right outside. You know how businesses spring up around immigration places. They do passport photos, they do copying and whatever other services. Like it's pretty normal. So there's someone there that knows how to work the system. So of course you're navigating the website in Bahasa, which is the language spoken in Malaysia. So you're translating, trying to find out the appointment. So I watched what the lady did. She did exactly what I did, but somehow she had an appointment for that day within like an hour or something. It was like soon. So I ended up getting an appointment. I'm back in the line, which is much shorter now. I'm waiting. I have all my paperwork because the people in that terrible Facebook group had said all the stuff you needed to get. So I went and got it all printed out and whoop, whoop, whoop. So I'm just waiting with all my paperwork, trying to get this extension. They call me up and I have my flight booked out and I have the date booked out for 30 days, assuming that they were going to give that to me. So they are like, oh, this flight, it was to Albania because by that time I had figured I would go to Albania. Found out on a Friday, figured this out over the weekend that I'm going to Albania. So I bought the flight and everything. So I'm up at the window. He's looking through my paperwork. He's like, okay, this looks good, whatever. He was like, your flight is to Albania. And I was like, yeah, it's to Albania. He's like, it needs to go to America. And I was like, but I'm not going to America. He was like, well, I can't approve the extension. And I was like, skirt, you want me to go? I'm leaving. Why do you care where I'm going? So, I flexibility. So this whole time I'm like holding it in, right? I'm trying to think. This is not the time to spiral. This is not the time to panic. I can't afford that because I need what I need. and the immigration office is not on the island, it's on the mainland of Malaysia. So, like, it's a whole process to get there and everything. So I'm like, okay. He's like, you could go downstairs and talk to whomever. I don't even know what that separate place was. But I go downstairs and I'm talking to these people and I'm like, I'm not going to America. Well, they were like, well, you could get banned and like on purpose. Like you could get banned and then all you have to do is pay like this amount. And then I was like, okay, so then my flight to wherever I want to go is okay. Because at this point I was like, I don't even want to come back. I don't even want to be in Malaysia. Like, who cares? Ban me. Okay. Um, he was like, no, you still need a flight to America. But of course, there's all this like back and forth. The dudes at and it was like mostly men that were at the service windows were going to go talk to their supervisors or whatever, because people don't really be knowing stuff. So there was something in that conversation that I had with him where he was like, your outbound ticket needs to say America. And then it clicked. And I was like, flights be having legs. And like there's no direct flight from Malaysia to America anyway. So like I could do what I want. So what I did, unfortunately, I canceled my sweet ass ticket. In hindsight, I should have just kept my original ticket because it was a really good flight. So I canceled that and I booked a flight that said America. So the good thing is I have a Capital One credit card. And with my Capital One credit card, I'm able to cancel my reservation. I think it was 24 hours, not 48. I think it was 24 hours with no penalty. So I booked my flight, showed them the paperwork. They took a lunch break. So like there was there was some waiting involved with that. I didn't book a new appointment. I just had my same appointment, whatever, and went back through and got approved for the 30 days. So I could stay 30 days more in Penang before I, left so I could get myself together. And so then I booked another ticket and it took me all the way around the world. Like I went from Penang to Singapore, Singapore to Amsterdam, Amsterdam to Italy, and Italy to Albania. It was the worst ever. And my ticket, my sweet ticket that I had before was just Penang to Turkey and then Turkey to Albania. But anyway, so flexibility. And it's like, if I hadn't had that conversation with, oh boy, because then my mind was really scrambling. I was like, do I need to just, eat the cost and buy a ticket for Wednesday? Because I got to get up out of here. These folks is crazy. Um, if you were leaving the country after that Wednesday date, then you had to have something from immigration in your passport as for the reason why you were leaving, basically, is what that came down to. So I got my 30 days. I stayed. I got back into yoga very heavy. I needed the stress relief, right? But my mind was still burning because it was so sudden. It was so sudden. Um, but things didn't really stop. There was so much going on. I had just bought a new domain name. I needed new hosting. My hosting was expiring around the time. So I had to get my hosting in place, try to do my domain transfers, which all of that didn't take place before I left. But I wanted to keep the podcast up and running. So I had to do something. And then there's finding a place and like figuring out, hey, what is Albania about? And what's it going to be like when I get there? Like all that stuff. And trying to transition. There's some leaving that you do before you've actually left, right? And all of that preparation, and also the transit countries and also the COVID tests. And am I going to have a test in enough time for the places that require that? And then sometimes when you're at the airport, like there's an extra little something you go through, just to make sure you have all your paperwork together or whatever. And a lot of times, I think it was specifically Italy. Like when I went through there, they were like, Albania is letting people in. And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, are they, bitch? Like, ooh, it was a mess, child. So I get to Albania, flexibility of mind, right? And everybody's like, all you need to do is tell people that you're looking for something. Albanians are the nicest people in the world. They'll help you out. Woo, woo, woo. I'm talking and I'm walking and I'm not getting the help. People is trying to make money. So it's May by this time. I'm here. I still don't have time to decompress, right? I've been in transit for like over a month now, trying to get things settled. And like there was a bunch of business stuff that I had been doing in April, like all these meetings and like all this stuff I had planned and collaborations that I wanted to pursue. And it's just like everything was just kind of out of the window. And so I'm in Albania and I'm not finding anywhere in my budget. In Malaysia, I was paying, I think it was like a little less than 200. It was like 198, 195, something like that, USD per month for my apartment. And I was hoping to find the same. And some people said you might could. But so these people are trying to make money, right? They're not trying to hear none of that. You from America, you got money, basically, is what it came down to. That was in the capital. And then I met somebody on Facebook. And they were like, I can help you. I'm an expat here. I've been here for a while. Here's my friend. He's a doctor. Saranda is really the best place for you to be. And I was like, okay, girl. Saranda was a 5-hour bus trip, honey. Okay. Even in a car, it's going to take hours. It's on the southern tip. It's next to Greece, right? People hop right from the tip right over to Greece all the time, apparently, because they constantly asking if the border is open or not with the ferry. And so I was trusting people on the internet. I take my stuff down to Saranda. I'm tired. So I had spent my first 2 weeks filming a commercial. Let me not filming 2 commercials. Let me not skip over that part. So before I got here, I saw a post on Facebook where somebody was like, we're casting for brown people. I was like, that's me all day. So I hit her up. She was like, super nice. She's Swedish, I think. What is she? Anyway, I don't know. So I hit her up. She was like, let's meet. So the very next day, I had a phone call. Like I landed at night, completely blurred out of my mind, went to get something to eat, slept the hardest I've ever slept in my entire life, probably up until that point. And the next day had a phone call with her to like talk or whatever. And then I had to go for the casting calls and they want you to bring your clothes to see what kind of wardrobe you have and like just kind of want to see your face. And, I think for the one, I think I did like a little audition. They just want to see you in action. So for my Patreon members, I'm going to put a link in Patreon so you can see the actual commercial. I might show y'all others later. You can join Patreon for as little as $3 a month, by the way. And also, if you have not taken time to subscribe to the channel, I would love your support and if you would do that. So anyway, I shoot these commercials and one of them I made like 100 euros. I think it was about 100 euros. The other one was like 700 euros, the bigger commercial that I did that I have the link for. The smaller commercial, I didn't actually they filmed me, but I wasn't in the actual commercial. But the other one I was the main character. Ooh. I'm looking a little cute if I must say so myself. So I did those commercials. I got a little bread, which I needed, honestly, because before I had left Malaysia, I had just like bought a washing machine and bought a refrigerator and bought a bed frame and a mattress and a couch. And like, because the place that I rented wasn't furnished. So I had taken like an unexpected hit financially. So that commercial money really helped a lot in my transition. Plus, I'm buying a flight and those cross-continental flights, like I don't remember how much it was. It wasn't that bad, but I've never purchased that particular route, so I'm not sure what it is usually. Anyway, so I take the bus trip after shooting the commercial. I take the bus trip down to Saranda and I'm trying to meet with the old boy. He's not answering the phone. So I go drink a beer. I'm sitting there with my luggage, drinking a beer, not knowing what to do, and ask for the Wi-Fi, see if I could find a hotel nearby. And then all of a sudden he replies, I had the address, so I chose a place that was near the address. So he's like, yeah, my mom is there. And I was like, okay. So I walk around the corner and I meet with the mom, and she's just like the super, super mom. She's like the nicest person ever in life. And she's like, you can't live here because my sister just lost her husband and she's in Italy and they're kicking her out. So she needs somewhere to live. So she's going to come here and she's going to stay there. And apparently, like her grandson, who was home from college, and her husband were like, no, the sister needs to live upstairs with the family. So they had the first level as just these apartment sections. There's like maybe 4 different ones. They're stocked with the beds, and some of them have like kitchenettes and, of course, their own private toilets. And then upstairs is where the family lives. So apparently, I think there's 3. And so the son, who's a grown ass man, he lived on the 3rd level with his wife and their child. Um, and then, of course, the son is home from college for the summer. And then, the mom, she lives on the 2nd level or whatever. So she's like, nah, you can't live here. It's this point. It's this point where I cracked. This is the point where I cracked, because I had just been holding so much from the transition from Malaysia, getting to Albania, having a hard time finding a place, having the tiniest a bit of hope for this, and doing all this travel. And I'm really just tired, and I need my private space, and I need to decompress, and I need to cry. Quite frankly, I just needed to cry a little bit, right? And so I felt the well up. I felt myself getting very emotional. She could probably see it. And there's something that happened when I was filming the commercial. There was just like quite a bit of standing, and my knees, both of them, kind of swole up some. And it was a bit difficult. It was a lot difficult to just walk. And Saranda is very hilly, but grandma was with it. She had another property back from the communist times before she built from the ground up this place where she lives now. She took me over there. She was like, hey, girl, I got this other place. Come look at it. It was just old, frankly, and I didn't want to live there. um, and then she was up and down the street talking to everybody she knew, because, that's how the block is in these kinds of places. It's the hood, right? Everybody know everybody. And she's like, hey, you got somewhere? Hey, you got somewhere? Everybody, listen, these are people that make quite a bit of money from tourism rentals. And so they would rather rent for a week than they would have like somebody in there for a year or whatever. So everybody was like, nope, 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 nope. She was like, I was like, I'm gonna just go to a hotel. She was like, there's another small room, you could just stay in here. She's trying to put up curtains, she's climbing up ladders, all types of stuff. And I just wanted to take a shower and lay down and crawl into myself. So she was just like really accommodating. She was really nice. I guess that's the Albanian niceness. That's the only place I've seen it. That's fine. Maybe it's old. Maybe maybe it's died off with the generations. I don't know. So I was like wallowing, and then I trust another person from the internet. I saw a post. Somebody was like, where do you live? Where it's affordable, blah, blah, blah. Somebody was like, this person knows. I contacted that person. They happen to be in Saranda. Serendipity. So I met with them. It's this dude from Finland, and he was just really nice. He was nice. So he's like, yeah, I've been living here for a little over a year. I'm just down here traveling a little bit. He was like, you should come with me. And I was like, man, I don't know, man. I'm gonna come, like, whatever. I just want to rest and relax a little bit. He was like, okay, but if you want to, like, you could come with me. And so like he was pushing it, and I was like, man, he trying to get me into some sex slavery or something. Like, why is he trying to get me to come with him when he leaves? He was leaving like the next day or the day after. But then I was like, man, let's just do it. Let's just go. So he had been talking to somebody, and apparently, like, he had a lead on an apartment. Dope. Let's do it. So I go with him, and the apartment falls through. I don't break down yet, but I am disappointed and a little bit sad. But then eventually, like, I get this place. So flexibility. And then I didn't talk to nobody for a month, but I still had so much stuff to do because the move was unexpected. My workload had not changed because I did not prepare to be in transit, especially for so long. So I moved into this place June 15th. So that was a month and 2 weeks, so 6 weeks after I arrived in Albania, just about. Flexibility. If I had not been able to have an emotional intelligence of myself, if I had not been able to center myself and ground myself and do my breathing and focus on what the most important thing is right now, then I might not have had a nicer experience. Like, it could have been so much worse. Like, I could have been ricocheting and like going off and panicking and not staying clear headed. I don't know that we can do that long term. Like, as Black people, we've been dealing with what's it called? Undesirable circumstances for a million years, right? And so it's really compacted. And if you are not able to create that space for yourself, then it is so much harder for you to show up and advocate for yourself because you already tired, right? I think that's what the triggers are, right? If somebody comes and talks to you crazy, it's not even necessarily that person. It's everybody. When you've been lying awake at night thinking about how you're going to handle it, and then you handle it, right? It's because so many people been talking to you crazy this whole time, and this just happens to be the one. Right? This just happens to be the one today where you know now how you want to respond, you know now how you want to advocate for yourself, and you might come across, a little with your claws out or whatever, or maybe not, maybe it's an appropriate response. So yes, I think that I did the best that I could. I think we're all doing the best we can, but I think I did the best that I could under these extenuating circumstances that deal with so much change. And long term, that's just not ideal. Like, you need more stability in your life, right? So not long after that happened with being kicked out of Malaysia, Malaysia also changed their retirement scheme. So a lot of Australians go there, some British folks go there, and some Americans go there to retire. So the way that it's set up, Malaysia wants you to put a ton of money into a bank account and just leave it with them so that they can profit off of that. So that's mostly it. You just buy your way in, and then they give you, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years. I don't really remember. So what they did recently is they changed that amount. And so you have a lot of folks who were like, Malaysia was my home. I don't, I have cats and I bought property and like whatever, whatever, whatever. And they're having to figure something else out because they're not going to meet that financial requirement that Malaysia has changed to. And that is the understanding you are given nothing, right? You are a guest at all times, in all ways, when it comes to living in another country. Those things can change just as quickly as they were. Somebody just made it up. Somebody made up that threshold and said, okay, we want this amount. I don't even know when they started instituting that retirement scheme, but it changed. And now you have to figure something else out. You bought furniture, you bought like what, and you got to figure something else out. The same thing happened with Vietnam. Vietnam is somewhere that has always invited foreigners to come. A lot of people go and teach English in Vietnam. I think China may be more popular, but Vietnam may be the second for the wages specifically. Maybe Taiwan as well. I'm not really sure. Vietnam was like, we're not renewing any more visitor visas. All of a sudden, people who had been there for years even may not have their their visas renewed. A lot of them had to leave. Some of them came to Albania. Like you see in these groups, if you're in enough groups, like you get to see what's going on. So, also speaking of China, China changed their their criteria or whatever. And so, a lot of people who were teaching online, teaching English to these Chinese students, were no longer allowed to. The companies had to comply with the government's rules, and the government said they didn't want that anymore. And I think that some companies have gotten around it. I'm not really sure. But if you worked for a lot of these major companies, they just let you go. So people have lost their entire livelihood because they banked on working for these companies. And if you didn't have no money saved up, if you don't have access to alternatives, then you were in a big bind. And don't be in another country and let your source of income dry up, right? If you had and a lot of people do this, right? It's just like, oh, I'm living for today. A lot of these countries are pretty affordable to live in, but like people may not be saving anything. They may not have other streams of income. And so they are relying on this one job to do what they need it to do. That's difficult, particularly when you're living in another country. I think it's different if you're in your home country. You get laid off, you go on assistance. A lot of these countries have like assistance programs set up, right? So, child, these are the lessons. What else was happening? There was the Malaysia visitor visa, the Vietnam visitor visa, the Malaysia retirement, the teaching English online, and just travel restrictions in general. When I was looking for a place to go, I was like, where actually is open? Because a lot of places don't want Americans right now, and understandably so. A lot of countries like Malaysia never opened its borders back to foreigners coming in. If you were a foreigner already in there, all right, but they weren't allowing like extraneous traffic. Not that it necessarily helped with the numbers. I mean, I'm sure it could have been a whole lot worse, but having understanding that these things are never a given when it comes to travel. Your passport being accepted in a country is never given. Your visa as you're visiting a country is never given. Your getting residency is never given. Like these criteria, these things can change at any time. And so it behooves you as a traveler to just stay on your toes just a little bit. Not like PTSD on your toes, but not like eggshells on your toes, but just keeping in mind that these countries have the complete control and the right to do whatever they see fit with the people who are visiting their lands, who are not citizens of their lands. Albania gives a 1 year visa, no questions asked. You roll through the airport and it's on site. You get 1 year, right? They could change that at any time. Okay. So, what y'all talking about over here? Sassy Diva said, hi, Robin. Robin's up in the house. Wow, I would have been in tears. Tears is what I was in at some point. I was just like, why is all of this happening? Tanisha said, I'm so glad everything worked out for you. Somebody was like, I'm glad you landed on your feet. And I was like, child, I landed on my knees. I crawled. I tried to get upright and sit and maybe scoot on my butt for a while until I could get back standing. It takes, you have to fortify yourself. You have to be embodied. You know that feeling. I think we've all been there when we feel like somebody pulled us outside of ourselves. Even that phrase is so perfect. Um, don't make me come about myself, right? Because don't make me be the old me. You don't want that. But that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like this is not me. This is not who I've become. Like this is just like some old deflection, reflection. Like this is some old reacting that I'm doing. This isn't my current state of person. I don't even know who this is. You just pulled me up outside myself. Um, so it's really important to be embodied and to know what that looks like and know what that feels like so that you are not spiraling, so that you are not out here stuck. Um, a lot of times expats forget that they are guests. We are guests when we go and we must be respectful. That's what I'm talking about. Girl, I'm getting tissues. Okay. Teresa said, hey, I missed my reminder. Good morning. Hey, what up? Teresa, you came. That's what's most important. So let's see. Maybe y'all want some tips on how to do that. I talked about breathing. I talked about being conscious of what's really happening in the moment. I think it takes some listening to yourself and to the moment to be able to suss out to say, okay, I understand that, when I'm at the immigration desk and he's like, you have to go to America. But I was like, but I'm not going to America. So then my brain is like, ping, 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 like, how are we? My thing is like, there's a way through. There's always a way through. There's always another way. And what's my way through? And I couldn't figure it out with him because he wasn't giving me what I needed. Like people be on your shoulder too. The people he was consulting with or whatever were probably like, what was he about to tell her? But like the other dude, like he had like a little private office, so maybe he could say what he said without fear of repercussions or whatever. But if I had not been listening to the way that he said what he said, if I had not allowed myself to express, like I could have just left and been like, well, girl, I don't know what's going to happen. But if I had not allowed myself to express what I needed to express, to elicit from him what he was able to share with me, to say, well, the ticket just needs to say America. By the way, when I went to leave in May, I show up at the airport. I had canceled the ticket to America within the 24 hours and bought my Albania ticket again and went to the airport, and they were like, you need a ticket to America. And I just did the same thing. I don't know why. I don't know why. But again, I couldn't do that then. But now I can. I just do not know why. You want me to have a ticket to, why are you so pressed for me to go back to my passport country when you just want me to leave? But like a lot of times, and this is the why I had such a hard time in Asia, is that these people, why did I say that? Sometimes in some cultures, some people within the culture have a specific way of thinking, right? And there's such a rigidity, there's such an inflexibility a lot of times in some of the cultures that I've traveled through, Malaysia being one of them. So there's not this freedom of thought. That's the rule. It's the same thing when I went through Singapore. So we board up in Malaysia. You're going through, first of all, I be traveling with all types of illegal stuff. Not that that's your business, but I be traveling with all types of illegal stuff. I had like a couple of foundations. I didn't know what was going to happen out there in the world. So all kinds of liquid stuff I'm not supposed to be traveling with. So, I get a little nervous when it comes time to go through security. Are they going to find my stash? So I'm going through security, whatever. It's fine. It usually is because I've gotten good at it. Or they just don't care. I'm not sure which. So when we get to Singapore, we're changing planes and changing crew. So I have to go through security again for no reason. And I see someone melting down about it though. They're like, okay, but we just came from Malaysia. Like, what were we going to get on the plane that wouldn't be allowed on this next plane? And it was just like, girl, for my peace of mind, I'm just like not engaging that conversation. So we deboard the plane, go through security again. They check our ticket again. And then, we sit in the waiting area to get on the plane that goes from Singapore to Amsterdam. All of the things. And I don't have time for that. So I think it is that I prioritize my peace of mind. I also, you tap into your body. There are some things that I'm learning about the body as it relates to trauma and how the trauma functions in the body. I'm looking forward to learning a lot more, but that is a thing. And so being in tune with yourself to see where you're feeling nervous and addressing that, seeing yourself like, oh, girl, your heart just dropped. Oh, girl, your throat just tightened up. Oh, girl, you starting to get the shakes a little bit. Like, okay, this is happening for good reason. These people have lost their minds. So let me just breathe. Let me be embodied. Let me think about what it is that I want and how I can get it. And then I can go and cut up in the group chat later. I don't actually have a group chat, but maybe you have a group chat and you could go cut up in the group chat later. But yeah, I guess it's like a time and place kind of thing. There's this group. So I want to do Friday watch parties because I've been a part of a watch party and it was really fun. And I was like, this would be dope for the ladies because I love y'all. And so they were watching this film and this lady was spiraling. And I was like, I have never had that luxury, particularly as a Black woman as well. We've internalized these ideas about the angry Black woman. And also our mothers and possibly fathers beating us into submission. You better not go out here and act a fool in front of these folks, in front of company. And so there's a front facing persona that we have sometimes to look appropriate, to look like we fit in, to look like we know how to use a knife and a fork together, to look, whatever, because we live in a world that judges you based off of how you look. So we want to be very presentable. And this lady in this flick, she was just like all types of melting down, like every which way. And I was just like, I have never I don't even like temper tantrums, like I don't think you see that a whole lot. Like a Black mom, in order to prove how good a mom she is, she will take off a shoe and literally beat that child in the middle of the store if you dare to throw a tantrum. Like you can't be on the floor rolling around. We don't do that. you know. So yeah, it was also that was also something interesting that I've noticed about us in general. So I'm not saying to keep it cool for the sake of appearances. I'm saying to keep it cool for the sake of your health. Because I think that if you're able to intercept the trauma as it's happening, then maybe it doesn't store itself in the body like that. Because we always remember the bad stuff. And sometimes even if you think you've emotionally processed the bad stuff, your body might still be holding on to it, is what the research I've read says. So that's just my idea about it. Trying to stay calm, trying to invite some space to respond. I forget that's like a popular thing. There's a moment that you have between what someone says and how you respond, and luxuriously living in that moment so that you are operating from the best possible place when you do make your response, your reply, or whatever. So, yeah, peace of mind. Yes, peace of mind is my battle call for my sabbatical, and it is coming up. Teresa is on the clock. It's October now. You got days left. You need to decompress. Yes. Amen to peace of mind. All day. Teresa, tell us how many days you got left now. I have to look again. I think you said the 6th, but I'm not entirely sure. So I did decompress because I think that I love myself. So that was really important to me to be able to decompress. But we all need that. And so I think too, as you are making your plans to leave America, as you are making your plans for employment or to work on your soul work or whatever, sometimes it can be difficult to approach what you're doing because you are still living in the conditions that created who you've been. And that's why we love travel, is because we're able to experience something different. Yes, but a lot of times we are seen differently. and we see ourselves differently. And you get to be someone else because you're not in those circumstances that maybe you haven't been coping all that well with. Maybe you've been lubricating yourself in one way or another, right? Because it's not optimal and you're just not really sure what else to do. And change is really difficult. Maybe you got a lease or maybe you're in a job, and we all know how difficult it can be to get another job and how long it takes and how much they want. You got to fill out the forms, you got to send in your resume, and then you got to put everything that's on your resume on the form and fill it out all over again. And then maybe there's 3 set levels of interviews or whatever it looks like. If you even get to the interview, if you even get a response and a no. And then like you have no idea what it is that you're doing wrong a lot of times. So then you hire somebody to do your resume. It's just like never ending. Um to try and get another position for a job you don't even really want. So, for a job you don't even really want most of the time because it costs too much. It costs too much. They want so much from you. They want you to be incorporated into the company culture and play all these games and stuff instead of just showing up to get that paper and your health insurance, which why is it dependent on a job in the first place? And then you just trying to live, right? And so it's just like so much. So it's I think that we're trying to explore more ways to be flexible in mind where we are. And so that's why we surround ourselves with people who are like-minded. That's why community is important, right? So that it's not so necessary to leave. I mean, it's still gonna happen, right? Y'all are leaving, but but you're still able to have some modicum of peace, some modicum of self-respect, some modicum of fulfillment, some modicum of aliveness where you are in Atlanta, Georgia, where you are in Dallas, Texas, where you are in Chicago, Illinois, where you are in San Francisco, even though the world at large is not where you experience that fulfillment. So I do think it's possible. I think that leaving and being in a different environment helps you to accelerate that and helps you to really see differently, experience differently, blah, 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 differently, so that you can get to where you want to be, so that you can have the life experience that you see yourself having. I hope you see that. I hope you're visualizing that, what that feels like, what that looks like. But yeah, also realizing once you get there, don't get too comfortable. I mean, you can. Maybe everywhere. Again, these are extenuating circumstances with the Mary Poppins that's going on. And so I don't know that these travel phenomenons have existed before, with countries closing their borders. I mean, it's totally possible. Countries closing their borders, visitor visas changing in this kind of way, retirement schemes changing in this kind of way, companies deciding to close to a specific group of people or whatever. So yeah, but I think we've experienced all of these things in some way, shape, or form, historically speaking, maybe not all at the same time in the same year. So exercise that flexibility, exercise staying connected and embodied so that when these situations do arise, that you're able to handle them and get through them and hopefully release what's happened so that you can continue on your way, I think is mostly the point. Um, what y'all talking about? Monday is my last day of work. Okay, Teresa. Good morning. Okay, Teresa, you also said, how do you tell the difference between holding it in detriment to your health and keeping it at bay for the sake of your mental health? How long has it been? if it's if it's a short amount of time, because and you know how life piles up like that too. One thing happened, the next thing happened, the next thing happened. How long has it been? How many things are you physically holding on to as well? I think that's important too. And sometimes we lose track because it's not exactly something you run to your calendar to put down like, oh, today this happened, or you don't go back to read your journal or whatever. If you're journaling, are you journaling? I'm journaling again, so now I can advocate for that. How long are you holding on to it? How many things are you holding on to, and for how long? And in what way? Because I think there's always just this little bit of space, and a little bit of space can make a big difference, right? For you to be able to let go of more. So if it's a situation at work, you might be feeling easy breezy right now about that because it's just today is Saturday and you just got one more day, one more, and it's finished. And your daughter moving and having a grandbaby, and maybe you're having feelings about leaving because now it's really real. It's really real. And getting rid of all of your stuff. So, plus anything that's happened before that, and maybe you got people in your ear. Nyeh, 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 nyeh. How much attention and space are you giving yourself to process these things? And I think that there's always just a little bit of space. And I don't think it takes a whole lot of time to give yourself the attention that you need in order to make that space. Because once you get that little bit of space, I think it can become bigger and bigger and bigger, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. Right. Because a lot of times it's stuff we're just avoiding. And yeah, like you said, the difference between holding it in detriment to your health and keeping it at bay for the sake of your health. Because there was never a denying of what's happening. I think that's part of it as well. It's not a denial of what's happening. It is a recognizing what is happening, recognizing where you have control within what's happening, recognizing what you can do with that control that you have, the actions that you could take within what's happening, and then dealing with it piece by piece as you're able to, because that's ultimately what's going to be your mental health, not curling up on the couch with Ben and Jerry's. So that radical honesty, practicing that radical honesty, like, girl, come on, let's sit down. What you've been dealing with, where where can you make some space for yourself to process some of the things you've been dealing with? How do you need to process this? Do you need to speak with a professional? Um, do you need to speak with a friend who can actually listen? Do you actually need someone to talk back to you and give you some advice? Or do you just need someone to listen? Do you just need to hear yourself say these things out loud so that you can process it, so that you can release what can be released in the moment? And I think there's always just like a little bit of something that can be. So just practicing that radical honesty. Only you are going to know that, because you're the only one that's been through everything. This isn't just this year, it's the year before that, and the year before that, and when you was 5, and like all this other stuff. So I think that's the best approach. Hey all, I love that you're hitting on these therapeutic principles of breath and space. Yes, Norika. First week in November. That's a month away. I'm so proud of you, Teresa. Environment is important. It sure is. Job hunting now and it sucks. Talk about it. Hey, Letitia's voice is up in here. I hope I said your name right. Letitia's voice, that ASMR voice, that affirmation voice coming through. Want to please remind us where you're currently? I'm in Albania. Oh, thank you, Janelle. Hey, Janelle. I was thinking the story about last year. No, that's girl, this is months ago. This is fresh. All that. I'm avoiding like a mug. I need to figure out, Teresa. I need to figure out my ideal method of release. Lord, I can't spell today. I just joined, so I'm sure of the place of the story. Teresa, your exodus will help you heal. It will, but you could heal now, today too. So, method of release. Sometimes you just got to try some things that maybe you haven't tried before, or go back to some things that were working. We are a constant work of art. So some things that we've used to bring us peace. I think my newsletter tomorrow is going to be on self-soothing, how we soothe ourselves, how we make everything okay inside ourselves and our spirit and our mental and our soul, all that good stuff. But just exploring what used to bring you peace. What did you let go of? Because sometimes that's what happens. Like when things are just okay or maybe not so chaotic, like we let go of the stuff that works for us because we're okay. We feel like we don't need it no more. So think about the stuff that you used to do that could bring you some solace, that helped you to process. There's so many tools. I've talked about talking out loud to yourself, just to like talk through it. Of course, if you have people in your life, a professional or personal, professional meaning like a therapist or a coach or whatever, have those conversations. Journaling, people love journaling. And there's different ways to journal. It doesn't have to be dear diary. You could just like jot down some of the highlights in whatever. Um, People also do lots of body work. Acupuncture or massage is seen as healing, or there's also sound bathing, and what else is there? Other stuff. Taking a walk, being out in nature. A lot of people find being out in nature to be super therapeutic, super helpful to themselves. And just having some quiet and some stillness, being off of a screen, right? So, not staring at a screen, not having a screen stare back at you. People find very helpful sometimes. Um, it just depends on what type of person you are. Exercise, a lot of times, is really great too. You know, I love my yogas, but walking is great. Um, Boxing, if you find yourself out in the forest, go ahead and let out a yell. You a black woman, ain't nobody gonna come running anyway. No, I'm joking. I hope they would if they heard you yelling. But actually, like yelling is supposed to be super therapeutic. Just going out and and just like really releasing. It sounds really goofy, but in my last week's newsletter, I talked about mirror work, looking at yourself in the mirror. I talked about hugging yourself, which also might feel weird, but just go ahead and wrapping them arms right around yourself and giving all of you a hug, the person from days of yore and the person from yesterday. So, I mean, you just experiment. You can also just Google it. How do people process life events or something like that? And all types of stuff will come up. Hey, Wanda, you said it right. Thank you, Letitia. Hey, Allison. Hey, girl. Sex used to work, but that came with other complications. Get your girl, not when you do it by yourself. You know, I could talk all day about that. First of all, are you watching who you are letting within range of your emotional body? Because ew, I could not imagine anymore. You know, after a certain age, you know, I'm in my 30s, so I don't do that no more. Because who, if they have not done their work, which often they have not, if they are not emotionally in tune, if they are not doing what they need to do, I don't even think I could just run through, get what I need and dip no more. And you know, I'm out here in these international streets and they don't even have sex the same. I've got to tell you, they do it differently. Okay. Um, Black American men. I mean, we are the culture that created headboard music. I always want you to keep that first and foremost in your mind. Headboard music, we are a sexy people. So if it's nothing else that a Black American man is going to do, usually he got that work and that's all he got sometimes. No matter the age. I don't even know about them young things, but I don't even want that because it's too young. But back in the day, it used to be the groove. Okay. Okay. Actually, let me you see it, you saw it wash over me. That used to be the groove, really. That used to be a spiritual experience. Even with someone who had not done their work, even with someone who did not have the best intentions, who was not honest about, what they wanted and what they had to offer and all that type of stuff. Because, a lot of times it's the idea of it and we're in the feeling of it that makes us experience what we're experiencing. It's not even necessarily about the other person. You just feel safe enough, right? To allow yourself to experience that. It's not even that they're doing anything special because they're usually not, you know, they're not. But yeah, it used to be, not no more. Can't play them games no more. Um, Float spa, yes. I still haven't tried one of those. So it's one of the sensory deprivation tanks. And it's filled. I think Letitia, correct me if I'm wrong. But this is the one that I know of. They saturate it with salt. So I guess it's kind of like an ocean experience, maybe, when you think about it, but it's a controlled environment. So it's a tank. You step up down into it, and it's just water with a whole bunch of salt in it. And because the salt ratio is high, you literally float more. I think no matter the body type, because sometimes if you are muscular or like have a dense body, then you're more apt to sink in the water. Um, but like there's nothing going on, so you're just in the water, like you can't have your phone. They might have some music playing or something like that. I've never tried it, but I've heard really dope things about that. A sensory deprivation tank, um, floating. Staycation, also grounding by walking barefoot. Talk about it, Letitia. One of my most loved benefits of working from home. Headboard music. You learned something new today. What you mean? Come on. What you mean? I'm telling you, I do not think any other culture. I'm like, well, what do you play when you all are getting into the groove? Because like that's part of the experience, right? Is you got a little um I don't even remember the songs, child. You had to get the draws tape. Come on. If you didn't have to get the draws tape, you wasn't doing it right. If you didn't have a little Marvin Gaye in the background. Yes, child. You are my spirit animal. You so silly. I love y'all. I have never heard of that term. Come on, y'all. Where y'all been? Headboard music. I didn't make it up. Though if I could be credited with that, that would be dope. Get the draws tape. Y'all know what it is. Come on. Saltwater floating music and low light. You should definitely try it. I will, perhaps one day, maybe. When I was in Malaysia, the Chinese population where I was heavy, and acupuncture was just like a thing. It's part of their traditional Chinese medicine. So it was last year. I went for maybe, I don't know, 2 months, like every week, maybe even twice a week for 2 months. I don't know that it did anything, but I'm always open to exploring. I've tried a bunch of different stuff. Reiki, I've tried the Akashic records. That's something I'm not entirely sure how to explain that. Um, I've tried like energy work. So I've incorporated some of the energy work into, like, if you heard some of the meditations that I do, it's like part visualization, part like moving stuff around so that you feel better because the mind is that powerful. If you believe that you've taken the stress off yourself, you have, right? And so you just take the stress, ball it up in your hand, like throw it out there, and then watch it explode and say, okay, well, that's out there. None of it is coming back to me. And then you get to, you're like, oh, okay, it's fine now. Because I've taken it out of my brain through energy work. That's what I mean by energy work. What else have I done? There's something called body code and emotion code, and it's where a practitioner asks you questions and you answer them, and based on your answers they figure out where in your body something is stored. You don't have to talk about it specifically, and then they energetically remove it. They have like a pendulum, something. What else have I tried? I was getting them Thai massages. Listen, a tiny Thai woman rolling all over your body, cracking you every which way is the move and the groove. Okay. I did not get enough of those. That was amazing. It's not like a oil massage, like you keep all your clothes on and they just like literally just like like roll all around you, bending you every which way, and like doing this really hard kneading. It's amazing. So wonderful. Um, is wine therapy? No? Okay. Um, I don't know what else I've tried other than that. I mean, that's kind of a lot though, right? This is therapy. I love talking to you. This is therapeutic. This is a release. Soul work. Soul work is a release. That's the other thing. Okay. Hello. That is so fulfilling. That is the thing that comes directly from you. That is the thing that only you can do. That is the thing that will tear you apart because you are going to run into the worst parts of yourself while trying to put your soul work out into the world. That is therapeutic. That is life changing. It is like an intimate relationship. You know how the people you see the most, what did Nikki Giovanni say? She said, because it wasn't Nikki Giovanni. I think so. She said, because I love you, I get least of you, when she was in conversation with, what is his name? I can't remember his name. Anyway, she said, because I love you, I get least of you. Because we take the people who are closest to us for granted. That's what all the bickering is about. That's why we believe we understand each other when we really don't. That's why we're not clear enough with each other, blah, blah, blah. But soul work is very much that. Whatever it is that you love, whatever it is that moves you, whatever it is that has been given to you from birth, that process of answering that call, that process of experiencing fulfillment through your own hands, through the work of your hands. There's nothing like it. Whether you even asking for money for it or not, there is nothing like it. Um, that is also very therapeutic. That is also a giant release. Wine therapy is legit. I just want a wine tour. Yes, 44 women, 3 wineries. That's very specific. 44 women specifically, 3 wineries and loads of fun and laugh therapy. Okay, let's slosh. Okay. I would love that. So many more things to try. Get the draws. Yes. Who up in here is doing their soul work right now? Mm, talk to me. I want to hear about it. Who's doing their soul work? Letitia, I know you are. Teresa, you've been focused on leaving, but I haven't heard. I know you have your shop, but I haven't heard about what you're doing for real. Who's doing their soul work up in here? Sassy Diva, what you got going on? Also, by the way, if you haven't taken the time to subscribe to Le Chanel, that's the channel in English, I would appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button. Janet, I'm so sorry. Janet is your name, Sassy Diva. Michelle, what about your soul work? What you got going on? Stacey Ann, I know you are. Yes, thank you. Stacey Ann says she is. And Letitia says she is. And Teresa says she got to figure it out. But you don't have to figure it out by yourself. And I don't even know if you need to figure it out. Maybe you just need to give yourself permission to explore it. Maybe that's really the thing. Cause like I just don't know any of us who've gotten so far away from ourselves that we've forgotten the things that we really, really and truly love. That it wouldn't take like an hour to come back to. Like, oh yeah, I used to do this or that, and then they beat it out of me, or I beat it out myself, or I beat it out myself because I internalized that they would beat it out of me if I did pursue it, right? That's why I'm taking a sabbatical. Okay. She said, don't you do voiceover work? Resting my body. Did a Thai massage 2 weeks ago. Hey, Christina. Hey, girl. Good to see you, girl. Planning to spend another 6 weeks Oh, 6 months in the Caribbean time for me. Come on. I don't know. I just think we complicated quite a bit. Maybe I should do like a separate session on that, on sitting with your soul work. I've talked about the money part because I thought that's what people were most interested in. And I think I've touched on it because, I pretty much talk about all the same stuff, just in different ways, right? Um, but maybe I need to be more direct with it. We do. That's exactly the point, Stacey. We undervalue our soul work. We don't think that our experiences have value. We don't think that other people will value our experiences. So it goes both ways. Like, don't nobody, and we forget all the stuff that we've been through in the first place. We forget that we've taken time to learn something and be in depth about something. And so we don't see it. And it does take that awareness. It does take that pulling yourself up and saying, girl, you've been at this for, even if it's 6 months, it's been a good 6 months that you've been at this. Even if it's 3 months, even if it's 2 weeks, at 2 weeks, you definitely know more than somebody else about whatever it is. Christina said, I need a holiday of 2 to 3 weeks after this pandemic, working 2 jobs for a year. We need sunshine, meditation, and great food. Okay. Yeah. Like, the travel is great. We all love the travel. I've been thinking really I've been thinking a lot lately about what it means to have a life that you don't need a vacation from. Because we've all heard that phrase, but what does that really mean? And what does that look like? So I do soul work. I do it all day, every day. I do it too much. I need to go outside more. But I'm also scared of outside because the cooties is out there. So there's that. But even when the cooties wasn't out there, I still, well, that was situational, but I would go out more. Like, I'd go to the movies and, go get my favorite food mostly. But I love the movies. What is that for real? What does that look like? What does it look like to pursue a life that involves doing things that fulfill you while also not needing to travel to do it? That's the worrisome thing for me. And maybe it's none of my business, but the worrisome thing is like how many of us were choked about not being able to travel. And it's just like being dependent on something outside of yourself in order to have the peace that you believe you need. And why aren't you creating that more in your day to day experience? That's exactly what it is. Why do you need that plane ride? Why do you need to go to another country? And taking it for granted that you'll have that and fiending for it like a junkie, a straight J, because you're not experiencing that. And what does that say about your quality of life? What does that say about your choices? What does it say about your day to day practices? We love travel. I did write a newsletter a little bit about that. It's never about the travel. It's about how you feel when you do travel, and how can you consciously create more of that in your day to day experience. How can you make different choices? Sometimes it is situational. If life is expensive and you've told yourself that it's expensive, if I'm living in London and I already got a flatmate, how am I going to create the resources in order to, and resources, time, energy, of course, money, to have what it is that I want, have the thing that travel gives me where while I'm at home, right? So while soul work is fulfilling, I think that it too can take the place, because we are products of capitalism, and so that productivity comes in. I've been doing a lot more stuff lately, and I'm asking myself, do I want to do it because I want to do it? Which, like, I have ideas a lot, and it's hard not to execute them, especially now since I'm in this flow of executing new ideas. But being honest with myself about, am I executing them because they're helping me to reach the quality of life that I want, or am I executing them for the sake of being busy? And it's definitely not for the sake of being busy, because I don't even, how do you even spell that word? I don't know her. But yeah, yeah, Janelle, or you can't travel alone. That's big. Right. You have to have a crew, which, like, everything ain't for everybody. Try it once, maybe twice. I don't know. Try it at every decade of your life, whatever. There's a lot of different ways to do stuff. I'm not going to travel shame if you only group travel, you know what I mean? And if you never try it, I mean, it's really none of my business, but I don't know. I do think you should be able to spend time alone. Like, why would you want other people around you if you don't even like you? Like, what happens when you're alone to why you need people around you? These are the questions. I've started to go out more. That's what I want to live purposefully. Yes. It depends on the environment you evolve in. It does, Christina. It does, but you are the environment. And this is the thing. So I was thinking a little bit about this too. It's just like, no matter where I've been in the world, I've been happy to not be in America. So if I'm outside of that environment, because I've created the circumstances to allow me, I got my chutzpah up, I got my courage up to leave and stay gone and figure that whole thing out, and continuing to figure it out. But if I have to believe that if I went back, I'd still be okay. I don't know that that's true, and I don't want to test it. Suckers. But I have to believe that if I were to go back, if I made the decision to go back, not because of circumstances, if I made the decision to go back, then I have to believe that I would be okay, that I would create the space around me, that I would create the environment around me, that I would have the beliefs around me, that I would have it's like, we live in our own worlds anyway. Why not make it pretty? So I would have to believe that I would create a world around me that would give me the satisfaction that I needed. I think it would be different if I did go back under circumstances. Like, if I really did have to leave Malaysia and go back, I would be crestfallen. And then I don't know what would happen, because that's already happened once in my life. The trauma is probably still there. So, but yeah. But, even with that, flexibility, right? We've been lied to by living in big cities. Yeah. Yeah. They offer, a lot of people go just because of the opportunities. A lot of these little towns, you even see that. That is something else interesting to talk about. Traveling for opportunities. Some of these small towns want you to come live there because everybody had to leave because there was no work there. But the towns are really cute or whatever. But yeah, small town living is, I think, more amazing than this big city. I like the convenience, but it'd be all them people with all their stuff and they unwashed hands and feet and other parts. We know they don't wash. Caught up in stress all year long. You can, if you develop some routines and develop hobbies in contact with nature, hiking, gardening, dancing, personal development. Um, I listen to stuff all the time. I should probably sit more in silence, but I just like to feed myself good stuff all the time. I've talked before about the podcast I listen to. I like Dr. Tama's Homecoming podcast. She's a therapist. She gets to the point. Her episodes are maybe 30, 40 minutes, and she just speaks all the way through my heart. Even the episodes I don't think apply to me, they do. Like, any and every episode, I get something from it. Another therapist I like is Spirit. Her name is literally Spirit. She has free advice Fridays. You could search for the hashtag. She does it on Facebook and Instagram. On Facebook specifically, you could ask a question if you want. You can even ask anonymously, but she just answers people's questions from a therapeutic standpoint. I like these ladies because they talk good. Like, they say things that actually matter. They have substance and content. And if you know anything about me, that's what I'm all about. And I love putting myself in those spaces and those environments. Um, Somebody hit me to this audiobook the other day. So I had that on while I was doing some work. Like, oh, and there are these groupinars that I've been going to that um discuss different aspects of mental health that have been really interesting. And people are in the chats and sharing what they got to share. I'm really there for the therapist though, because people don't be knowing what they're talking about sometimes. I'm like you, Wanda, so many ideas and it's getting overwhelming. I know I've been learning to let myself off the hook and not stress about it. That's real, because them ideas be haunting me. Okay, haunting me. They be on my neck, for real, on my shoulder, just like, yes, I know I've written you down several places, and when the time is right, I will get to you, but you have got to leave me alone. I've wanted to do this watch party for a while. Um I wanted to do karaoke, like online karaoke with y'all for a while. um I'm so in it, but it is such it's such a relief when you actually get it out. It's such a relief. It's such a wonderful, beautiful, amazing relief. like, like when I got the newsletter in motion, I was like, cool. When I started doing these every Saturday, I was like, cool, because woo, leave me alone. Nah. Poignant, asking oneself the hard questions. You have got to do it now more than ever. Today, preferably. Get off this live, Teresa. I don't care. Go take care of yourself. Listening to other people is cool, but you still have to talk to yourself. You still have to hear yourself. You still have to see yourself. And more often than not, we are not doing that accurately. More often than not, we are seeing and hearing ourselves from another person's perspective. I share sometimes about how bent out of shape I get. I get bent because I am perceiving something incorrectly. When I come back home to myself, as Dr. Tama says, then life is sweet. I don't care what these hoes got to say. And what? I know who I am. I know what I'm about. I know what I stand for. I can't control none of that other slush that happens out there in the world, because people are going to people. People are going to project. I'll talk about Lil Nas X a little bit. First of all, love him. Don't know if he's an industry plant. That's also not my business. Knowing what's your business and what's not your business will help keep things really sweet for you too. But there are people that are listening to his album, and I'll be on Twitter or whatever, and they're like, I'm not gay, I don't suck, boop, but this album hits. And it's just like, you could just say he's a human that makes good music that you enjoy. You don't have to identify how he identifies. And why is that identity his whole personality? Like, why is that? How it's interesting to see how people project and how people perceive, and it's amazing. And I never want that level of interaction, because that's just people throwing up on you constantly and thinking that they're reading you. They do it with Beyonce as well. Like, oh, she was disgusted by this or that, or she's high, or like she makes honey and I would just love to have some Beyonce honey. Just obsessive over someone who has no idea you exist and will never care probably. But it is super important for us to pull back from all of that. That's how my parents saw me. That's how those teachers saw me. That's how the kids in class saw me. That's how my coworkers saw me. That's how my kids see me. But that's not necessarily me, especially not right now today. That's who I used to be maybe at some point in time. But I know who I am. I know there are some things that I would like to continue to change, and I'm going to work on those. But like, you can't tell me who I am, because I already know who I am. Even if you recognize the parts of me that I may not enjoy so much, it's still my business, right? So it's super important to like bring your energy back, to bring all of that back home and reckon with that and process that and say what you need to say to those things that are arising inside you, so that you're embodied, so that you're in tune, so that you can relax, so that you can, so that life is worth living, really, because what's the point? It's not the doing. The doing is cute. Like, these lives are cute. The podcast is cute. Anything else I do, anything else I produce is cute. I'm constantly reminding myself I am breathing air, and that's enough. I am worthy simply because I exist. like whatever language you need to say to yourself to help you to decompress, to help you decapitalize yourself, to help you say, it's not the trip I need, it's myself I need. I need myself. I need to create a space within myself. When I was in Malaysia and I was burning up because it's an armpit, just hot all the time, right? I love candles. And I didn't do it a whole lot, but I did as a Southern Illinois girl have a moment or two of like a live fire and like a little bit of crisp weather. It's a little chilly or whatever. It's not like a every all the time occurrence, but I missed that. So when I was in Malaysia, turn them lights off, get my little tea lights, and watch a show or play some music or whatever it was. I don't think I watched a show when I did this, but I would play some music or do some sound bathing or whatever it is, and just sit there with my little candles and experience that in the way that I could experience it. I wasn't about to try and find somewhere to go light up some firewood outside, but I have tea lights and I have candle holders. So I can do that from the comfort of a dark room and create this world around me where I felt soothed, where I felt like I was having the experience I wanted. That was a little hard because, I had the fan on, but I tried to create the experience that I was seeking. It's not the travel you want, it's yourself. Can you write that in the comment section for me? It's not the travel that I want. Maybe you'll believe it one day. I don't know. Maybe it's not your experience. I don't know that either. But it's really not. It's not the travel. It's you. You want yourself. You want who you are when you're traveling. How can you have that person where you are? You need to definitely travel alone more to get to yourself first. It's possible, yeah. Rashida, try it solo, even if it's to say I done it. I like not making group decisions all the time. Okay. I don't think I've ever for real group traveled. I've done a group dinner, and when the bill comes and splitting it, it's stressful enough. I couldn't imagine doing group travel. Um, the resilience within you unleash the creativity to adapt to new situations, understand others better. The more you love yourself, the more you have compassion for yourself, the absolute more you will be able to take a step back and see that somebody else is experiencing something else out there in the world. And that's just what it is. Too peoply. What was the first name you said before Spirit? Dr. Tama. That's Thema. The name of her podcast is Homecoming, the Homecoming Podcast, Dr. Tama. She all that. Hey, I'm a therapist who goes to therapy. Trust me, I'm fine. Okay. Come on, Norika. Yeah, you got to date a little bit to find a good therapist, though. Some of them, I don't know what they be doing. They just be, girl, you ain't got nothing to say to me? You can't help me process this? Y'all talking to each other. I love it when y'all talk to each other. I need to find back myself in an environment without so much negative views and bad weather. As an empath, I feel every mood. Girl, give me bad weather. Okay. I want the rain. I might even like the snow. I don't know. It started to get cold here and I literally panicked because I haven't had that in my body for so long. Last week, so I'm sitting on the floor last week. These tiles is getting cold, but that's what they say about the buildings here. There's no, wow, if I could think of words today, that would be amazing. There's no padding, insulation. There's no insulation. And so the building is maybe even more cold than the actual outside because it retains the cold. So I'm sitting here last week doing the live and the floor is freezing. I'm sitting on a pillow today, but it absolutely started creeping up in my bones. And I'm like, but give me bad weather, child. That sun can go. Maybe not all the way, especially in the winter, because I don't know what that's going to be like. But that living on the sun business is out of here. But you also know what you need. every place isn't conducive to who you are as a person. I don't believe that. I don't believe you must stay in a place just because you think that you can make it there. We're good at adapting. Like, look at us as a people over these millions of years. Because you're good at something doesn't mean that that has to be your default. You don't always have to bend and squish yourself and cut yourself in order to fit. Maybe there's another place that is better for who you are as a person. Maybe there is another place that is better for you and who you are as a person. Sheesh. I want myself more than the travel. I want the travel too. Okay. Okay. Because while I said I could make it in America, I just don't know if she's for me. Angela, yes, ma'am. Back, shop around. Hey, Wanda. Hey, ladies. Hey, Rosanna. Welcome. Rosanna. All right, y'all. So I wanted to do a Saturday share. So the Saturday share is the hashtag support is normal. So for the next hour and a half, because I'm late. I'm not really late. You've tagged me, right? You've tagged me. So I should be able to share your stuff. Basically, what you do on Instagram, in Instagram stories, or on Twitter, um, tag me at BWT Pod, and I will share whatever it is that you have to share. Also, use the hashtag support is normal. So at BWT Pod, hashtag support is normal. And then whatever your offer is, hey, I have a Facebook group I'm trying to grow. The name is this. Here's the link. Please have a link. And you have to use on Twitter, it doesn't matter, but on Instagram, you have to use a link that people can't click. So use a link somebody can screenshot or type in easily, right? But just be clear about what it is that you want people to do, because you know how we are. We're not going to do it unless you tell us directly. We like marching orders. We don't like to figure out a whole lot unless it's something we want to figure out, and that's not it. But yes, it could be a Facebook group, it could be your newsletter, it could be your blog, it could be a trip you have maybe happening in 2078. It could be whatever, child. Your podcast, whatever it is. Whatever your YouTube channel, whatever it is. YouTube is going to be a little tricky, but maybe you could say link in bio or something like that. So that people can find you and connect with you. Let's support one another. It's my favorite thing to do because I love us so much. And I think that we could do a much better job of supporting one another. There's so many of us, there's trillions of us, and we are not organized. We are segregated into our pockets of whatever it is we do. So I think we could do a better job of rallying around one another. So come find me out in the internet streets again. Yes, 2078, because y'all just really trying to rush this. It's not my business. Find me out in the internet streets. Also, you could help me out here by subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Liking this video. If you like what I do, if you've been around a couple times in these Wanda streets, tell a friend. Be like, there's this girl named Wanda, and she be talking about this, this, or that. I think she's funny, and her hair is nice. Somebody told me I have nice hair. Teresa usually tells me. Teresa, you didn't tell me today. This is segregation mentality among the U.S. in whatever way we can, right? Together, stronger together, all that good stuff. So I would love to support you. Please tell me, no matter what it is, please believe in yourself. Believe in what it is that you're doing. Know that it is worthy of sharing. I would love the opportunity to share whatever it is that you have going on, your digital services, whatever it is you have going on, your products. Please, 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 let's go do that. So I'm going to go do that. And I adore you. Check out the notes for this video if you want to be a part of the Black Women Digital Nomad Entrepreneur Group. If you're already in the group, Go and tell them how dope this live was if you've been sitting there. I would love that. Um, I have the podcast that comes out every week. You are about to love this episode. I interviewed Yumi from Flex and Fly. She is amazing. She is fire. And I know you're just going to love this episode I'm putting out tomorrow. I actually have to finish editing it. That's my business. Thank you, Stacey. And I also love spending time with you. Curls popping. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. Thank you, Letitia. But yes, so it's not just here. Connect out there in the streets, support, whoop-de-woo. Y'all know what to do. If you don't, I'll let you know later because I got to go now. 2 lives today, Stephanie and you. Okay. All right, y'all. Y'all be easy and be easy on yourselves. Bye.